Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called A Long Conversation. Some years ago I was doing a summer job, working for my mom as a secretary. She's a doctor. I never looked like my mom, and nobody knew I was her daughter. Patients just thought I was some intern or student. During our summer, this mean old lady came to the office almost every 2 days. Not to see the doctors each time, but to sort of hang out in the secretary's office and chat or ask for test results or whatever. But mainly to spend time and complain about everything. The usual secretary often indulges her because she's a regular. But she was on her holidays and I was the only one she could talk to. And talk she did. She was racist, anti-everything, hypocrite, and above all, like I said, just plain mean. I always put up a facade with her, polite and smiling, and she seemed to love to teach life to a young girl like I was. One day she decided to talk very badly about her doctor, my mom. She thought I was new and didn't know my boss very well and was bolder than usual. She said all sorts of horrible things about her, trying to spread rumors about her carelessness or bad practice. Then she asked me a medical question about her test result. Sweetly, I asked her if she wants me to call the doctor to ask the question, since I'm not allowed to look into her file. Oh no, don't bother. The doctor never answers the phone, she just doesn't care. Your well-being is important, you should have the answer you are looking for. Let me try. If she sees her secretary's number on the phone, maybe she will answer. So I picked up the phone and called her. When she responded, because she always responds or calls back, I looked the old lady in the eyes with my biggest smile. I said, "Hi mom. I just had a long and interesting conversation with Mrs. D. She has some questions. Could you talk to her?" The face of this old hag when she realized she talked bad about the doctor in front of her daughter was priceless and my favorite memory of the summer. My mom said to me that she didn't come back for 3 months and never talked again in front of any secretary. The next story is called Bad Threats. A couple of years ago, I used to work at a call center for a popular company by the name of Netflix. I'm only name dropping because nobody works at that center anymore due to the fact they laid everyone off who didn't want to move to another state. Dealing with abusive customers and having the entire site closed down eventually takes its toll, and near the end I had little empathy for customers who were rude to me. There was one thing I loved about working there, however. We never had to try to keep customers or upsell them anything. And as long as we did the job correctly, our team leads would almost always back us up if a call was escalated. Then Netflix had its price hike and wasn't able to stream on older devices anymore due to technical issues. You cannot imagine the number of people calling to threaten to cancel because they believed we had the power to individually accompany their wants and needs. I had this particularly nasty lady whose account was on hold due to a lack of payment. She initially called because she was outraged she would have to pay $2 extra in 3 months when the price hike took effect. Once I informed her she couldn't stream anyway due to a lack of payment, she yells, "What if I just go ahead and cancel my account then, huh?" And like everybody else who threatens this, they severely overestimate my ability to care. She had already stated that she wanted to cancel the account and that was all permission I needed to close it. So after her threat, I tell her, "There's no need ma'am, I've already taken care of it for you." I said it in my cheery call center voice that I only reserve for children and irate customers. She explodes at me and demands my supervisor. Now, like most call centers, all our calls are recorded and our supervisors can go back and listen to any call. Since she had stated she wanted to cancel, albeit maybe a little sarcastically, I was in the clear. Turns out she really didn't want to cancel. But since her account was officially closed, she would not only need to pay the original amount to restart it. She would also have to pay the new price hike as well, since the system recognized it as a new account, whereas old accounts were slowly being price changed. The third story is called Just a Little Mud. Years ago, my husband and I worked for the same company, on the same team. One day, we received the news that our company was going to move to a much bigger building on a whole new construction site. And more good news. On the new site, there was the possibility to get a parking space from the company. This was great news for us, because we just bought our own house out of the city, so we needed to drive to and from work every day. Summer came and we all moved into the new building and made ourselves at home. We asked about getting a parking space and were told that we had to fill out an application and hand it in to HR to get one. The company only had a few spaces, so they were handed out via first come, first served principle. Fine with us, we immediately filled out an application and made sure we were one of the first ones to do so. Days went by and there was no news about our parking space. After 2 weeks of waiting, we contacted HR ourselves to ask about it. Imagine our surprise when we heard that we didn't get a space because apparently we were too late to hand in our application. We immediately knew this was BS because we filled in ours in the first week of moving in. And we heard through office gossip that there were a few people who got a space that didn't fill in an application at all. No surprise that these were the exact same people who were the boss's favorites. But hey, what is a company without some good old nepotism, right? I and my husband were angry. Because we didn't get a space, we had to find our own parking place every single day. The closest place to park near our building was on a nearby construction site. It was loud and dusty because construction workers were always working, and we had to walk for 10 minutes on a busy and dangerous road just to get to our office. We complained about the situation to our team lead multiple times, but her answer was always that there was nothing she could do. One day, the road we always walked on was blocked and we had to make a detour. We came in a little late and we got an earful from her for being late, and we just had enough. We told her about first having to find a place to park, then having to walk in the mud to our office, and we said that we wanted a parking space. Our team lead exploded at us. It's a bit of mud, deal with it. I don't wanna hear another word about it. Then we looked at each other and thought, fine. We knew we would have our revenge. Summer came and went, and a few weeks later the beginning of autumn announced itself. In our country, the beginning of autumn is usually accompanied by heavy winds, cold weather and lots of rain. One particular Monday we went to work and knew that was our moment. It had started to rain Saturday morning and it didn't stop until Sunday night. When we arrived at our usual construction site, we knew we hit the jackpot. The rain had turned the entire site into a wonderful mudfest. We got out of the car and sank immediately ankle deep in thick brown mud. But hey, we had a job to do, so we walked our way across the mud onto our office. Our shoes were soaking wet and completely covered with sticky mud when we walked into the building. To make matters worse, we decided that we had to go to the bathroom and then to the break room before we sat down on our desks. The expensive brand new royal blue carpet that was only in place for a few months was completely covered with muddy shoe prints. We locked in like usual until our team lead arrived. She made a noise and a movement as if she was having a heart attack and a stroke all at the same time. She stormed to our desk and began yelling. "What the heck did you do to the carpet?" We calmly explained that it had rained and everything outside was muddy. And since we had no parking space, we had no choice but to drag through the mud. She weakly protested. But look at the carpet. The boss will be furious." I and hubby looked at each other and said, "It's just a bit of mud. You told us to deal with the situation, so we did." She stared at us for a few moments, opened and closed her mouth and was desperately thinking of something to say to us. Finally, she just let out a frustrated "ah" and walked away. We just started working and didn't see her until late in the afternoon. We did apologize to the cleaning crew who had to clean this whole mess. It wasn't their fault that they got dragged into this, but they had to deal with the consequences. Later that day, my husband got an email from HR saying that they will have another look at the parking situation. Lo and behold, he was assigned a parking space after all. I wonder what changed their minds. The last story is called Don't Talk. I worked at a very popular fast food fish restaurant. I was 16, it was my first job, but I ran circles around some of my coworkers because the owner did not know how to hire people. There was a transfer from another store. A manager was sent to fix our times. In order to get a raise, I had to learn how the kitchen works, so the owner told me I could work there till it got busy. I switched with a kitchen worker because he wanted to learn cashier. The manager spent the entire time I was in the kitchen making comments, trying to get me to leave, saying I shouldn't be there. Next thing I know, it got really busy really quickly and I was told to handle both drive-thru and front screens, make all the food. I noped out of there and told the other guy to switch back with me. We stopped taking orders, I handled the front and drive and the kitchen got everything working. Cued the manager showing up and taking more orders. Now I know I shouldn't have, but I asked him if he thought he should be up here making the problem worse instead of fixing it in the kitchen. His only response was it was my fault for not switching back sooner. I said I get that, but right now you should be back there. And he sat and argued with me in front of all the customers over it being my fault. I was still working while he was standing there, so as I ran to give someone their food out of the window, he said, just stop talking. I didn't take another order on that headset until my other cashier left 1 hour before closing. I didn't say a word to that manager for days. I completely stopped talking that night and refused to acknowledge him. And I unwrapped all the coins in the register, so he had to count them by hand at the end of the night. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.